And here we have the second figure in the whole Batman set from Moebius Models. Oh, Catwoman. Julie Newmar. The original and the best Catwoman. Oh, I had such a crush on her when I was a kid. Still do. Sewn into that outfit every single time. Oh, wait, sorry. Kit, yes. So, Moebius Models, 1/8 scale, Catwoman. To match the Batman that came out. Oh, you want to see the best part of this? She's molded in black! Oh my god! Never seen a kit in black plastic before. So, we're not going to do a huge review here because I don't have much to show you. I already did the Batman. So, mainly I'll just point out any issues I have when assembling, and if there's something extremely difficult. Obviously, I haven't taken a quick look at, or a close look at the parts yet. The base is very small, unfortunately. The bases do go together when you get all the figures to show a, it forms a giant Batman symbol, but this is about half the size of the one that came with the Batman. And if you're gonna display this separately, I mean, that's pretty small. I mean, she's going to be not quite the same height as this piece of card, but yeah, really should have a bigger base. Pieces, a couple more pieces than the Batman, just because there's more options and parts, like the belt comes in 2 parts and all that. Why the hell does Julie Newmar look like she's 80 years old here? That is wrong. You get the option of the mask, which she didn't wear too much in the show. And she has a whip. Oh, whip. And you get little cat statues too if you want to use those. And her catatonic pistols, which I didn't know they were called that. So you do have some options of things you can add to her. So let's start with the tedious step, putting it all together and filling in all those damn seam lines. So far the build is going pretty quick. Not too many terrible seam lines. I managed to get the majority of the legs and the body sealed up pretty well, and just take care of the seam line by scraping along the X-Acto knife. A little bit of split in the feet. The main issue is the hip area here. You can see a lot of putty. Majority of it already sanded away. I probably should have used epoxy putty instead, like I did on the wrist. Epoxy putty is better for filling in larger gaps, especially if you need to like smooth out a surface that's way off. You can build a little ridge up to it. Instead, I tried the Squadron Green putty and it didn't work. Well, it's okay, but it could have worked better if I used the epoxy putty. Main issue is all the wrinkles there. I ended up filling in with the putty, and then I gotta go and dig them out. And there was a significant step on each side of the hip, and so I had to use some pretty heavy sandpaper to take care of that. You can see all the scratches still in here. I gotta buff all that out. But going pretty good so far. Trying something new. I picked these up quite a while ago, but I never really had a use for them. These are sanding sticks, but they're round. Check that out. So they're good for getting in those little nooks and crannies where you can't get into with just a flat sanding stick. So trying to get into all those little grooves that I accidentally filled up with the Squadron putty. And getting into her naughty bits. These come in 3 different grits. Kind of hard to tell which is what. I think they just spray glue onto... Yeah, you know what? These are just plastic sticks that they sprayed some sort of glue on, then dipped them into gravel of some sort. As I can look at this one here, it's completely flat on this side. So... these aren't that well made. Obviously homebrewed somewhere. But if you could find them, they're useful in a pinch. So we got a bit more of the Catwoman together. I always do sanding in stages, so I didn't attach the arm, so I'd have easier time, you know, getting into here and getting around the legs and what have you. And then when that's done, for the most part, attach the arms, work our way up. The arm's a little bit difficult to get on because since she's holding her waist there, her fingers are kind of hovering in mid-air. So I had to do a little bit of chopping and a lot of glue to hopefully fill that in. It's a little too much glue, as you can see there, or plastic cement, excuse me. But cut away a bit of the belt and cut away a bit of the palm of the hand to at least get a few fingers wrapped around there. And obviously there's a little bit of gap on the top now, since I moved the arm down like that. So we'll fill that up with epoxy putty once the plastic cement is dry. And she has an option of weapons here on the other side. You can put the whip, or you can put the catatonic gun. Now, what should we use on the sexy Catwoman in tight black spandex or leather? Should we use a whip, or should we use a catatonic gun? Okay, going with the whip. And by the way, these little things that I was showing off recently, these suck. As soon as I turned off the camera, I started using them more, and I was thinking a lot of plastic was coming off. The only thing coming off was this frickin' sand that's glued to these stupid little things. They are quite worthless. I realized you can do the exact same thing. Just take little strips of sandpaper and wrap them around a plastic, some styrene tubing or rod. Actually, probably just wrap, you know, sandpaper around these, but that will make them pointless. So yeah, don't think I'm going to be using these anymore. These little sanding, whatever was underneath the price tag. $7 for these things. Made in Canada. Canada? What the hell? We are still on the puttying stage, and for the bigger gaps, I used some epoxy putty to fill in the majority of the gap, and now I'm doing some finer work with the Squadron Green putty. The reason for the dual usage here is epoxy putty is good at filling up large gaps. It's very strong. However, I don't really like to use it as the final detail because it can get it actually gets harder than the plastic. So when you're sanding it down, it makes it kind of difficult because you have this hard ridge that you're trying to get rid of, and you're trying to keep the soft plastic around. So use that, push it in, and then save the final layer for the green stuff. Also have to do a little bit more on the legs, as you can see here. Primer it, we sand it down, and then we can see where our gaps are, and we have a nice obvious gap right here that needs to be filled in. So another 2 layers or so, and I think we'll be ready for paint.